Hey, it's Andrew here. Now, we always have a disclaimer at the start of Beat Motel, but this time we're going to talk about a few dental issues. So if you're squeamish about that kind of stuff, you might want to skip to about the 5 or 6 minute mark. After that, it's all golden. Right, on with the show. I normally have something to say at this point, but instead I'm just going to say, hello, Dan.
You're right. I've got something to say that I didn't tell you before we jumped on this podcast because I thought it'd be funnier.
Go on, do that.
I don't know if you noticed the massive lump on the side of my face.
What the hell is that?
That is 2 dental implants I had yesterday. So I am loaded with cocodamol. I am loaded with my usual dose of cannabis. I am on amoxicillin. I am on metronidazole, which apparently my pharmacist and my dentist and 2 people who I told are on this are like, yeah, that's the hardcore shit. Like, my friend said she had a swig of red wine and was projectile vomiting for 2 hours. So I'm
Good job you don't drink.
I'm a bit hammered if I start to go like this during the podcast. That's why. But I thought, you know what, my commitment to podcasting is so hardcore and I didn't want to let you down. And I thought, you know what, it might be quite funny.
Yeah, so there you go, Beat Motel listeners. As you probably guessed, we have Dan Callis on the show today. Amoxicillin, I've had that and it gives me thrush. And with that, I'm going to play the disclaimer. You're listening to the Beat Motel podcast, and we need to warn you that we like to use words like fuck, shit, and syndicalist, butty scrutux, angry flap, and foot biscuits. And we don't often bleep those words out, apart from because we're not complete animals. But if you understand that and you like music, then listen on. So strong start, I think there. So you've had. I've got to have this discussion with you because I went to the dentist yesterday, and anyone listening to this and not watching on YouTube, you won't know that Callis and I neither of us have a full set of teeth. I mean, mine's missing from the front, and yours are.
I mean, there's stitches in that right now.
God.
Yeah, man.
It's actually making my stomach feel funny.
You know what they did? Do you want the details?
It's well, they drill into your jaw, don't they? Do you have two next to each other?
I think it was a 9mm and a 5mm hole in the jaw to not go. I was under local anaesthetic, so I was aware the whole time. But the worst part of it, to be honest, was the needles and the local anaesthetic. I don't like that. But yeah, he drilled a hole, and then it was funny because he had this little torque switch, like an Allen wrench that he was increasing the torque when he put the implant in. I guess it goes into your gum. But yeah, I felt like a fucking car, mate. He was like, and it's me as well, my sense of humor and everything being terrible. And I was there, and they gave me this penicillin thing to swig before, and it tasted disgusting. It was like curdled lemon. And I was like, that tastes vile. And they're like, yeah, it's not very nice. And I was like, that's fine. I've snorted worse things. Apparently that's not funny to normal people, but there you go.
Jeez, 2 at once. That is because you then got to let it heal over, haven't you? Then they cut back into your gums again.
Yeah, 3 months until they do it again. But yeah, I think it from what I'm aware, it went well. It just makes me laugh that the amount of tattoos I've got, and I freak out at the needle. I'm fine with injections, but in your mouth, man, there's something just not fucking right about that. It does not. Oh,
my dentist, the blade, the needling uses is so sharp. I only know it's happened because either it twangs a nerve and makes you your face fizz, or I can taste it. I can taste the stuff.
Have you swallowed it before?
Oh, I must have done. My face is a bad state.
I remember the first time I had it done as a kid, but I remember as an adult having it done for a filling, and it dripped down my throat, and it filled me with so much anxiety because it was I was sat there and I was like, I can't swallow. Obviously I could, I just couldn't feel it. But yeah, every time they do those injections, I try and avoid.
It's just
people enjoy listening. We maybe put a disclaimer at the start of this episode that if you don't like dentistry, maybe skip the first.
I think we would have lost those people by now. But it's just reminding you: have you got wadding in there? Is it actual stuff or is it just swelling?
It's just swelling, man.
Because
pure hamster swelling shit, man.
Last time I had I was in the chair for an hour having a tooth rebuilt, and I was really hungry on the way home, and I couldn't feel the inside of my nose, couldn't feel my throat. But I thought I don't want to choke, but I'm really hungry. So I got these little bits of like vegan sushi, and I ate them, and I was like, God, I feel much better for that, but I'm still hungry. And about 6 hours later, when the anaesthetic wore off, I found all the sushi was just still in my cheeks. Because I thought I'd eaten it and I hadn't. It was just still there. I was like, just
when you
pulling it
sat
all
on the
out.
train dribbling blood, mate. Just like sat next to someone, just like there going.
Oh, you actually went on it. You actually
blood dripping down your face, and you're like, I'm not on crack. I might be.
Should just wear a t-shirt. I'm not on crack, honestly.
Yeah, I'm not on crack. I just went to the dentist.
Right, let's have your riff of the week. It goes like this. There is so much to love in that. Who's that?
That is How Long You Been Driving party song. I can't remember who showed me them. They're from the UK.
They're from Brighton. I've just noticed.
Yeah, I can't. Who was he showing me? It must have been. I've spoke to so many people recently about so much music, which is not uncommon for me. But
Yes.
that EP, like, it's like you haven't got enough songs out. Like, I want more. Hurry up! How Long You Been Driving, and put more stuff out, because that is like some Blackfish, Rad Pit, sick combined shit that just goes so hard, but so silly as well. It's so heavy. Yeah, it's also just like, why am I doing that? It's a podcast, but I'm mimicking like a happy dance.
I'm getting more and more into this kind of. It's not happy hardcore, because that's like the. That's not what happy hardcore is. But have you heard the new Rad Pit album?
I haven't yet, and
I
saw them the other day for the first time with their new vocalist,
and
they even made the joke on stage of, like, you know, because he's a very attractive man, and it's like
they got a pretty man.
See how we suddenly got like really popular.
where did you see him then? Because they were
at the Smokehouse. I can't remember who.
Oh, you're shitting me.
Yeah, they were really good. Like, well, they're always good. They're Rad Pit, fucking great band. Like, but I remember the first time I saw them, I went up to them. Get drugs, antibiotics, and me. Yeah, I went up to them and I was like, "You guys really remind me of Blackfish," and they were like, "Oh, you get it. We've been
cool."
But Blackfish were kind of like, I don't know, like, for me, they were like really early innovators of like kind of like punky math rock that was kind of heavy but indie. And all their song, like the way Rad Pit write their songs is like very similar to Blackfish lyrically, in the sense of like they take really mundane, silly subjects and write a whole song about it. Like Blackfish had a whole song about cleaning your room called "Preparing for Guests." You know, and like you look at like Rad Pit, who have the song that's just like, "What is the point of Piers Morgan?" He's sorry, I did that. Take a note.
I've got to edit that now. So.
I mean, if you're going to use the C word, it might as well be at Piers Morgan, the transphobic prick.
Oh, you can say it again if you want. I've got to edit it now.
Or what? Piers Morgan is a...
Yep, there you go. Well, I've got to edit it, so I will put a disclaimer about the dentistry, just in case, because I know we're fairly not, we're fairly as you find us, but other people might not like that. There's the first song on the new Rad Pit album, which I can't bloody find, because would you believe there's two bands called Rad Pit? And their new song is called Hymns for Something.
I need to listen, like, to be honest, mate, like, I think we should do your riff for the week, because I need to go listen to that record anyway.
Okay, cool.
Next time we're on, we'll do a whole episode about that record.
Well, an
hour of why I love Rad Pit.
I just want to give you the name of the first song on the album. The first song on the album, which I did choose, I think I chose for riff of the week a couple of weeks ago. It's called "I Went to Bristol and Saw Macaulay Culkin on a Boat."
Yes,
what a lovely vignette!
Such a Blackfish song title, though.
Excellent.
Like,
right,
go listen to Blackfish if you like Rad Pit and you've not heard Blackfish. Like, anyone listening to this,
I'm going to. I've not heard of Blackfish. Is there a particular album?
Mate. You're in for a treat. First EP, "See You in Another City," is probably their best, but the album is also really good. Yeah.
Cool. Well, here's my riff of the week. Oh, that's
Is that Scandinavian?
Finnish. Now the Finnish people, they're very close. Finnish people are very particular about not being called Scandinavian. But
sorry, cancelled. You have to censor that bit now. I'm a fucking nightmare.
That's Wolfheart, and I chose Wolfheart because their new album, Draconian Darkness, is out today, and I'm a absolute sucker for that kind of blast beat. He's a Scandi. It's Melodeath, isn't it? But that really pounding thing with the really gruff vocals.
It's that region of the world as well. When they do like heavy music, it always just has that like Turbo Negro kind of like party feel and like Cavell.
Yeah, God.
Like they do heavy music, but then you're just like, why does this make me want to like chug a like? Usually when I listen to heavy music, it makes me want to like punch things. Whereas with like Scandinavia, or like, sorry, Finnish people, I'm so cancelled. But yeah, like I don't know what you want to call that region of like not Europe or whatever, but like everything they do is just like I want to chug a beer and like smash my fist in the air and.
It's real kind of posy. There's Wolfheart, who I saw downstairs at the Dome in Tufnell Park a few months ago. It's a place about, just for local reference, probably double the size of the Smokehouse, so not a big place. And they sounded bloody amazing. There's another band called Insomnium who I saw when I was in Finland. And they're real, you get like in hardcore, you get posycore that's just really just makes you kind of feel good.
Positive hardcore, yeah.
Yeah, it's similar kind of thing. Everyone's having a good time. The band on stage, they're not like mucking around like Rad Pitt or whatever, but it's very kind of the opposite of the sort of, I really fucking hate the sort of toxic masculinity of some American metal or some traditional metal. It's the complete opposite of that. It's like the most inclusive. Come on.
Me and Myth have recently concluded we only like music that's silly.
Well, fair enough.
It's either got to go stupidly hard or stupidly silly or a bit of both.
So Myth your housemate, because obviously the listeners won't know who that is.
Myth my housemate. I forget that we're not just having a meeting right
now. When I last saw Wolfheart, the singer, between one of the songs, he was going, "That's a weak." I'm not going to try and do a Finnish accent. He said, "That's a weak circle pit." He said, "I'm a championship circle pitter in Finland," and I kind of thought there probably is a competition for that in Finland. He said, "If I don't see a proper circle pit, I'm going to come down there and start it." And like about 30 seconds into the song, he literally dropped his guitar, jumped into the crowd, and was pushing people to get them going. And it ended up this massive circle pit in a tiny little room.
Nice.
So that was cool. That was Wolfheart. New album out today. And let's move on to... before we leave that part of the world alone, I saw a film last week, a Finnish film called Heavy Trip. Have you heard of that?
No, I haven't.
It's about a black metal band in a tiny little village who want to play a big black metal festival. It's a comedy. And the first time,
Spinal Tap kind of vibe, Death Clock, Metalocalypse, or
not quite as extreme, because Death Clock is... God, what the hell was that problem? Metalocalypse, yeah.
Metalocalypse, yeah.
I can't say it, but
look, I can say it, and I'm off my nut on painkillers. So.
It's not as nuts as that. It's a bit more of the writers definitely understand black metal and extreme metal, but it's made to be a bit more sort of broad appeal. The first bit is all right, and you've got to see it, but the end of it is fantastic. Just it's worth watching. It's on the streaming things for free.
I'll get that on my list because I don't think I'm going to be doing a lot this week.
Heavy Trip, it's called.
Heavy Trip, noted.
Right, so the theme this week was your choice, Dan. What is it?
Yeah, I've sort of like, it was very last minute, and you did ask me just as I was off to the dentist.
Well, you've got time to sit in a chair and think about your choices, clearly.
Yeah, I thought a lot about many choices, but yeah, I think that's beyond the dentist, mate. That goes far deeper. But yeah, bands without drummers. But then we kind of said, like, well, what doesn't include a drummer? Because obviously, if you sample drums, or are we talking using a drum machine? So I think it's going to be a very broad episode. But I've tried to stick, because I thought, you know what, you're going to go with a lot of hip hop choices, like, and maybe. But I thought, like, do you know what? I'm actually going to like try and talk about some bands that use drum machines, and also I learned in the process, and I'm not going to do the spoiler because we're going to talk about it, but one of the bands on my list, when I was kind of looking into like, well, what bands don't actually have a drummer, I need to like trigger my memory, one of them on there I did not actually know didn't have a drummer.
That's one of the really interesting thing about choosing any theme for the Beat Motel podcast. It's really a jumping in point, because I've usually got the first track just straight off the top of my head, and after that I actually have to think about it, and I really enjoy that process of sort of looking at, well, what is it that I know about music? I tell you what, let's play your first choice to kick this off, because this band name is one of the most visceral one. What's a word that sounds like what it is? It's not visceral, is it?
I can't remember what my choice is, so you'll have to play it.
Okay, let me just press play and then we'll go for it. So fucking hardcore. Who's that?
That was Nerve Pill, wasn't it?
Nerve Pill.
Yeah, mate, I am so off my nut. I just suddenly had to realise I had to look up my choices. I'm pretty sure that's Nerve Pill, but there's a part of my brain in like my imposter syndrome that's like, I'm going to say the name of the band wrong and say it's Hers Collective, and just like everyone's going to hate me and be like, well, he knows nothing now.
Oh shit! You didn't choose Hers Collective for one, did you?
Yeah, I thought Hers Collective was my first choice. That was why I was confused. I was like, okay, which one are you on about? But I mean, let's talk about Nerve Pill instead.
Yeah, I mean I like the fact that, I don't know if it's the actual cover, but the cover they've got for that on the Bandcamp is a cassette cover.
Do you want to guess where they're from?
I find that really difficult to even know if they're British.
The answer's going to surprise you, but have a guess.
If you tell me they're somewhere nearby, I'll be thrilled.
Kings Lynn.
Oh, okay, that's pretty nearby.
Yeah, it was one of the when I went to a show in Norwich the other day. It was Hour of Reprisal, Break Them. I feel really bad for getting the headline act. Like again, like disclaimer, dental work. But yeah, one of the Hour of Reprisal lads was saying, "Oh, you need to check this out. Like, you'd really, really dig it." It's my friend's band in like Kings Lynn. And I listened to it, and I was straight on their Instagram, like, wow, where do you guys play? Like, and they're like, yeah, we haven't played a gig yet.
What?
I was like, all right, well, when you are, Ipswich, ASAP.
Yeah. Well, if you don't put them on, I will.
Well, exactly. I was like, you're going to have no worries finding shows locally. Like, this is coolish as fuck. But
it's just so much on a geeky level, the production, that sort of like broken speaker, bass too loud kind of sound, it just sounds so good. And having it that heavy and having the really... So I think that's probably the first choice, I know, but it's the first case from this episode where a drum machine is probably an interesting choice, just for like getting that sort of industrial sound and getting that really robotic kind of driving sound to it.
No, it's like, early Nine Inch Nails was Trent Reznor in his bedroom, and then he went and found the musicians to play it and stuff like that. I guess the joy is like at a later date, if they do decide like whether it's a one-off show or a one-off record or a full-time thing, like, all right, well, let's get a drummer. Like, it would add an element to the live set potentially, but I don't care either way because it goes hard with or without live drums.
I find that slightly odd sometimes, but it can work really well. Like Ronnie Size, I'm pretty sure Ronnie Size was using electronic drums for, Paper Bag, the big famous one. And then I can remember seeing them at Glastonbury and they had an actual drummer. And I thought, okay, I love drum and bass, but when you've got a live drummer playing drum and bass, it adds something so cool to the performance.
It's lightning bolt, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I saw a video, on the kind of on a related subject. I saw a video of Delhi Girls live at a festival over the weekend, and they had they don't usually have a drummer, so they had a drummer for this set, and I was like, because I'm seeing them in October, and I was like, are you having a drummer for the Bang Face set? And they're like, oh, sadly not. And I was like, oh, I don't care, it's going to go hard anyway, but like it just like added that, because I've noticed like, one of the things I said about playing electronics live is it satisfies a creative itch, and I love doing it live. But there's something about being in a band and having a drummer behind you where it like really sort of like that live kind of like the air is going like.
I'm bassist. I rest my leg up against the kick drum, and just it just makes it a whole brilliant thing. So
exactly.
Yeah, cracking choice. I particularly like that it's something I've never heard before, and it's a band that I might actually get to see. This happens sometimes. It's a band that existed just for 6 months in Austria in 1987. Like, oh well, that's cool and all, but I'm not going to live that.
Well, it's not like, do you know what? Like Bernays are another band as well locally, which is David Vickers from A Horse Called War.
Oh, they're new band.
A few others, but I saw them at the. I think was it the same gig as Brad?
You and I. No, I saw Bernays with Lebrique and the Grey.
Yes, that was it. Yes, that was a show. But yeah, like it's just like, oh wow, like two genuinely like fucking incredible bands just popping up in a year on your own doorstep. But you forget, like, we're like, well, you're in your 40s. I'm in my late 30s now, and like everyone we know who's starting a new band, it's like you've been doing this years. So it's not like, oh, we've just picked up a guitar for the first time and tried to figure out what we want to sound like. Like it's just like, just put them in a room and it's going to sound fucking awesome.
I've got a new band. I'm not going to dwell on it because it's. I don't want to talk about it. Well, it's not. This isn't an ego podcast, or is it? But yeah, I've got a new band. Similar kind of thing. Just made some music by myself at home. The problem I had is that I got into the studio with my bandmates, all of whom I'm pretty sure you know, and realised I got no fucking idea how I recorded or wrote those songs that I did by myself. So we just changed our name and doing something entirely new.
Yeah, sometimes that happens though with demos, doesn't it? Like, and like I have it as well. Like, especially when you're like recording stuff, because you're like, I would love to like isolate like the kick, the snare, the cymbal, but on a lot of like electronics gear, like you kind of like, well, I can't do that because the song in itself is a live improv jam. Like, it's not like, all right, you could sit there and trigger it all if you really, really, really can be asked to spend the time on it, but I can't.
Well, one of the things that we want to do with this new band, part of our aesthetic, is we're never going to record in a studio. We're only going to release live recordings, and that's inspired. God, this is getting ideas above my station. That's inspired by Fugazi. You can, for free from the Discord website, you can download a recording of every Fugazi live appearance that ever happened. There's like 500 of them or something, and I love the idea of that because they'll all be different and all be brilliant.
Yeah, even like leave the ones in with the bad bits.
Yeah, God, yeah, no, it's raw. It's the complete opposite of having that 99 track digital recording that the big massive bands do, where everything, all the spiciness is ironed out of it. No, I would definitely want to keep it raw.
There's a time and a place for everything, I think.
Absolutely. I think you've kind of summarised the whole 95 episodes of this. there's a time and place for everything.
Yeah, except for Nazis. Fuck.
Indeed. And I'm gonna use the word and just say, well, Nazis. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. 2 in 1 episode. 3 now.
That was 23 minutes and 30. Well, I kind of quite like
I am
earning one myself as soon as I've got to edit it out. Right, so my first choice, as I said, I think for that sort of slightly industrial sound, the drum machine worked really well in Nerve Peel, so it kind of inspired me to choose this, or I would have chosen it anyway.
I relate to the lyrics.
Do you know who that was?
I don't. My guess is 90s Britpop, UK.
Oh,
that's what I would have said. It's got a bit of a Stone Roses feel to it.
Oh,
have I offended you? Sorry,
not offended me, but there are people who like this band who probably would ask to sit down and have a serious conversation with you and a frank exchange of views.
Try it. I'll fight you.
No, I deliberately didn't say fight you.
Anyone listening?
There you go. The contact us beatmotel@lawsy.com if you want to fight Callis.
Yeah, sweet. But what's the band so I know what I'm actually fighting about?
Jesus and Mary Chain.
Ah, yes. Okay, I'm really unversed in them, and I feel awful for it because I should listen to them more. But every time I've tried, like it wasn't made for me.
No, I know what you mean, and I go through phases of adoring them, and then being completely ambivalent. But you in a way, you're completely right. That is as much as it galls me to say it, that is that is a very Britpop sound, especially like first Blur album era. But Jesus and Mary Chain did it first. So I think they did. So it's kind of
Like a little bit more of like a hippie psych band though, like with a like slightly doomy element. I don't know. Like, am I getting?
Yeah, no, you're right.
I always thought because didn't they do like the Bray Wyatt theme tune for like wrestling, or did I imagine that?
I don't know who that is, but
Google.
They started off kind of pretty much like a noise band, just screeching feedback. They literally recorded an album that's just got a guitar feedbacking through the whole bit. So that noisy element of it I really like, but that song got them banned from the BBC for the lyric, I want to die like JFK, I want to die like Jesus Christ.
I mean, yeah, what year was it?
That was 92, and they started way earlier than that.
Satanic Panic was in full flare then, weren't it? Like,
you're right, yeah.
Anything they could get on a talk show.
I can remember Dungeons and Dragons being banned from my high school. Like the thought that there were like there was hundreds of kids wanting to play Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, I'm just looking up. I'm trying to see who wrote Bray Wyatt's theme tune now because I like mate. I'm going to say again like antibiotics, mate. They got me. You know, like someone I don't know, like because he died, didn't he, Bray Wyatt?
I don't even know who he is.
Like,
sorry.
His original theme tune was like Jesus and the Mary Chain, but I'm googling it and like, I mean, let's not get into SEO or die territory, but Google shit now.
No, Jesus and Mary Chain were very much sort of came from punk, came from goth, but there's quite an element of their sound that has been copied again and again and again and again ever since, and it is what we'd now see as indie. But they were very much noisy, kind of quite aggressive. The sort of band that if you watched them, you might be a little scared of them, which I quite like. I like that in a band. I think a lot of bands are far too safe when you watch them.
Does the name Mark Crosser ring a bell?
No.
I don't know, man. I'm going mad here. Like, I'm just going to shut up because I'm clearly unprepared and far too spaced out.
You're going off on a magical, mystical journey.
If anyone wants to like correct me on this, like I'll correct myself later, and I'm really sorry for my. I thought this would be an interesting idea to do a podcast in this state, but
I don't think people tune into this for either accuracy or insight. So I think we're all right.
Yeah, neither of them are my specialities.
I am going to play your next choice because I've got a lot of questions. If it wasn't for the production, I'd say that's 30 years old. But who's that?
No, it's last year, I think.
Oh, no. I tell just production.
Linus-Fitness Centre, who I played with in Portsmouth in January and is playing in Ipswich on the 16th of September.
Are they playing at your gig at the Smokehouse?
No, 26th. Yeah, they're playing the Noise Tendro 64 show. But yeah, that's one dude with a synth doing all of it live. It's really cool. It reminds me of like Health meets Nine Inch Nails meets the Postal Service. And it's just one of those things that you watch. You're just like, you talented prick.
It sounds incredible. That's
yeah. It's proper like cheesy 80s like Pet Shop Boys kind of inspired, but like it's got a heavy element to it as well. And it's like there's a lot of noise incorporation in it as well. But yeah, like it goes hard. And I was just thinking like, you know, going back to like, well, what doesn't have a drummer? Well, that doesn't have a drummer because it's one dude producing all the drum beats.
Oh, but it sounds.
I was just trying to think like, well, you know, like there's so much out there I listen to. Like, what what could I actually talk about? And I was like, do you know what? I've been listening to this record a lot recently, because it's a good record. So why not have that?
I am absolutely going to look that up because it ticks a lot of boxes
See him
for
live in next month.
me. I know. I'm so looking forward to that gig.
This month is September. So yeah, like that's going to be cool. But yeah, from Bristol.
So what surprised me with this, when I prepare all the clips for Beat Motel using YouTube and a browser ripper thing, so finding the tracks on YouTube is just an easy way of doing it. And two things surprised me about Linus-Fitness Centre. The first one, this song has only had 7 views on YouTube.
Yeah.
7.
Yeah.
How the fuck can something that sounds that good have had so few views?
Because
you and me is 2 of them.
Is a fuck, and we're all old. We're not cool anymore.
And the second thing is, he looks like our friend Oliver Pearson.
Does a bit. Oliver's playing that show as well as Anne Roofing, so I think it's quite a nice little match.
What happens if they touch each other? Do they rip a
I
hole
don't
in
know.
space-time
You end up
continuum?
with some kind of math rock goth 80s explosion.
I'd fucking see that. I'd pay.
I think if they fucked, that might happen.
Maybe, Ollie, if you're listening, which I know you will be, prepared to.
I'd fuck with a collab between Anne Roofing and Linus-Fitness Centre. Like that would be incredible.
Yeah, but that's just great. It's the thing that this. I called this episode "Bands with Fake Drummers," just for clickbait, and there's proof that if anyone says that drum machines or electronic drums are soulless, just fucking get over yourself. Just listen to Linus-Fitness Centre.
Yeah, I mean, but a drum kit
be corrected
if it's not tuned.
Oh, believe me,
you let Lars loose with the snare in anger, although that is the best snare. So.
I've been in enough bands with drummers that had far less soul than a drum machine.
Fuck them all. Get rid of your drummer.
Right. You might have guessed I was going to choose this next one, so I've chosen a track that's atypical of them.
All white vans placed on the floor, pack of Pall Mall lights. Bite marks on a half sandwich with no crust. Mustard and mayonnaise, lettuce and red cold cuts. Moonlight streams through window dust. It floats up to the ceiling fan that creaks from rust as it labors to go round, trying to catch that feeling. And the paint on its base is peeling, and the taste in the air is faint, but they're just enough that the rats are nearing. Cause where there's blood, there's feast, and famine makes murder a meal. And the cheap wall clock was stopped with one shot, so we knew it was time to kill.
Bust one shot if your blood's still pumping. Bust 2 shots if you're really about something. 3 little pigs and they can't do nothing for the last.
I really want to play the whole of that track. So who was that, Dan?
That was Clipping, and that was a very good choice. Pyrokinetic, you weren't at Cookie Farm, were you, on Saturday?
No, I couldn't make it. That was Body for the Pile. Yeah, it's not a huge place, is it?
No, you might have been. Like, I don't know what state my brain's in right now. But yeah, a Pyrokinesis started sampling, like just playing Body and Blood under like a static. And I was just like, there's a video of me just like pointing at me, go, fucking Clipping, motherfucker! Like, shouting it over a noise set. Ruin. And do you know what? I think we need a new philosophy for noise shows in the NANA. Like, I don't know, manifesto, whatever you want to call it.
This is the East Anglia Noise Alliance.
Callis just shout over it, it's not loud enough.
Very, very good point. But I chose that bit because, yeah, obviously it's Clipping. They are kind of, that track just ends in just white noise, like howling white noise. But it's also, as I listen to it now, you can hear a bit of drums. There's not much drums in it, but his fucking flow is the beat. It's incredible. The first time I heard, I can't remember his name. The first time I heard him really picking up the pace like that, it made the hairs on the back of my neck stand up because it's just incredible. Clipping, those sort of bits of Clipping. If anyone doesn't get hip hop or thinks hip hop's dumb, just play them Clipping. Okay, you cannot say that stuff. The words are incredible. The delivery is incredible.
Story stuff as well, like all the tracks that like they're like talking about like his voice being the flow. Like those are like, if you want to hear that in Clipping to the fucking max, like listen to Story. But I saw him live at Roadburn. They played 2 sets. Honestly, man, like. Bear in mind, like, I liked Clipping, like, and I've always been a fan. But you know, when you like you see something live, and you're like, oh, now I just need to inject that into my ears.
It just needs to be part of my soul now.
You know, like they've been a really, really big band on my like radar like all year, like more than ever. And like, do you know what, like again, like you talk about you wanted to play that whole song, like even picking a clipping song, if someone said to me like, what clipping song should I listen to start with, I'd be like, I don't know.
They've got so many different flavors, and one of the great things is they change so often. It's interesting. I've got a friend who's really into sort of late 80s, early 90s hip hop. That's absolutely his bag. So I played him. I sent him "Nothing Is Safe" because I thought sort of halfway through that does get quite 90s hip hop, and he's like, "Yeah, it sounds pretty good." But then you're like, "But you're not going to like anything else that you hear by Clipping. If that's the only flavor you like, it's one of those. They're one of those bands that you have to really sort of be open to what they're going to do, because there's bits where it's just they do a thing live when a KPX thing, you know, the Canadian, I think it's Canadian radio station that does live sets, and they've just got a microphone made out of a shotgun cartridge, and they're just grinding it into a bowl of glass. I bought one of those microphones within, I don't think the video had even finished before I'd actually completed the purchase, because I just went, you know, we got this because it's a really tough microphone. You can grind it against stuff, and it works better than a contact mic. Because
what are they called?
And I was like, I'm going to buy it.
What are the dishes? The grindy dishes.
Petri dish.
Yeah, get one of them with it. But can you bring that over soon? I want to play with that.
It's just such a cool thing. But
it is like 319. I was just looking it up. Chapter 319 or 319 is another clipping song that's a prime example of, like, you know, that could chart. You know, because it is like more of a, there's a beat, there's a flow, there's a structure, blah 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 blah. Whereas, you know, some of it is like, this dude is just fucking flowing over static noise, and I love it.
It just makes me hard. There's you know that meme with Leonardo DiCaprio from Django Unchained, where he's like pointing at the screen going, That's basically me anytime I hear someone mention clipping. Even if I'm watching a video about studio techniques and they go, of course you have to watch out for tracks that are clipping, and I'm like, clipping, just like it's like a gut, you know, an automatic reaction. But they are.
It's because they're so good, though. Like, I think I fucking love clipping.
You say about it could chart. I get the feeling they're on the cusp of that, because they've started being played on Six Music now.
Yeah, I don't know though. Like, again, it's like, well, you know, one of their tracks could, like, you know, you could easily see it making like top 10 Billboard charts in the US.
And then the next song they release would be Harsh Noise.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think it's down to, like, you know, but I felt like clipping went the other way. Like, yeah, they're getting a lot more like clout and respect because they're clipping and they're fucking awesome and they're quite cold, but they have a following. But I felt as they progressed, actually, like, their sounds got, like, I feel like the newer stuff is harder to listen to than the early stuff. I think they've gone the other way. Even though, yeah, like, they're on the cusp of something, it's also like they've gone the opposite way of being on the cusp of something. That's, like, rather than being like, all right, let's mainstream our sound more. No, but let's make it harder to like.
That's like my elitist wet dream. The more difficult and experimental the band becomes, the more popular they become, rather than, as you say, what actually happens when people water things down and become big. If you find bands that get more difficult and more popular, there's hopefully gold there. You know, that's dream scenario.
You look at like Kings of Leon, like releasing like Sex Is on Fire, you know, like compared to like Molly's Chamber, like when they were like a proper, like what you would call like a sort of 70s throwback, like stoner rock band. Like, Sex Is on Fire, what the fuck? That sounds like the Killers, man. Like, it was like, what? What is this, Kings of Leon? Go home.
There were rumours
when your wankers now.
There was rumours when Kings of Leon started that it was the guy from the Eagles writing all the songs. You know, he basically could still write really good songs, but felt he was too old and out of touch and not hip, so he just formed a fake band.
That. Is it true?
God, no, that can't possibly be true. But I still find Sex on Fire just such an odd song. I can't even figure out where it's meant to be positive or negative, and just
it's crap. It's such a lazy chorus. Like, don't get me wrong, like, I love a good woe, but you know, if the first brief bar of your chorus is just it's shit. It's shit.
It's shit. Let's leave
it on your shit.
Let's leave it there and play your next choice.
Something doesn't find some fun.
I know the name of this band. I don't think I've ever heard them. Who was that?
That was Agoraphobic Nosebleed, and that was Merry Christmas, which was their Christmas song about a mare. And I should have told you the best bit to play, really, which is the bit when there's just this bit where he's like, no job, no prospects, no reason not to get high. And then in the video, there's like Santa just like pitting, and it's just like, dun, 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 no reason not to get high.
There's a lyric in there. He's talking about meth heads, I assume, or tweakers.
Yeah.
And he's like, they look so happy. It's I can't even tell if it's a man or a
woman.
woman.
They did a 7-inch flexi disc Christmas special that had the lyrics, Santa's got a brand new bag of dicks to suck. Which just fucking kills me.
Wow.
Oh.
But now my next choice, I did choose, again, I've sort of done this as almost parts of this is almost like a tennis match. You've chosen something, and then I've tried to find something related. So that sort of, what would you call that? That's like industrial.
That's grind, isn't it? It's
grind,
okay. Or a side project or whatever you want to call it.
Oh, is it really?
They're kind of like the original early innovators of grind with drum machine stuff. Like, like Honky Induction Hour, their first record. Like it's not good, but it's you know what I mean. Like it's one of those records.
It's like, is it one of those? I see what you're going for.
I like it, but like I feel like a lot of early punks like that anyway. You're like, this is shit, but I love it.
I see this as the first rung on the ladder, or the first few steps of your journey, and I wish you well. And I'll catch up with you when you've travelled a little further. It's still a good
album though, but I think like some of their stuff later on was a little bit more experimental, but still heavy and things like that. Like Agoraphobic Nosebleed, man, like hell of a band.
So I've still got up on the screen. Obviously, I've got several screens, and I have one open for doing research during the episode. And you just mentioned Christmas. Linus-Fitness Centre have a Christmas album. Have you heard it?
No.
It's called A Linus-Fitness Centre Christmas.
Well, there you go.
Which I am definitely gonna listen to. The two tracks are Christmas Time Is Here and Christmas in My Radiator.
Cool, I'll check that out.
Right, so
I didn't know that though. I did not know that there was a Linus-Fitness Centre Christmas album. But,
I think I'd love them more. Right, so there is a link between that Agoraphobic Nosebleed and this song. Actually, I'll tell you the first link. The first link is drug related. So their song is Merry Christmas. And I've only just noticed this link. The song is called Trankhead. And I'll tell you who the band is after we've heard it. Do you want to have a guess? It's a local band.
A local band without a drummer?
Mm.
Wow.
I should say was a local band.
It was a local band without a drummer. Okay. No, I'm stumped.
The vocalist there is Simon from These Are End Times.
Okay.
The guitarist is Rocky from These Are End Times. Dom, the drummer of These Are End Times, was in the band when they very first started, but they used a drum machine because it's extreme noise terror, fuck's sake. It's Optimum Wound Profile. Have you heard that name before?
I've heard that name before, but I've never listened.
Yeah, they were sort of proto, very early industrial kind of metal, but I sort of saw a link between Agoraphobic Nosebleed and them. The other vocalist that you hear there is Phil Vane from Extreme Noise Terror.
Ah, okay.
So yeah, drum machines and stuff. I don't think I chose the best track, despite the fact I've been in the band with.
What were they called? Yeah, I don't think you said the band.
Oh, no, Optimum Wound Profile.
Oh yeah, I thought, yeah, okay, yeah. You were too busy plugging your own band to mention that.
Too busy getting that corporate dick out of my mouth to mention what they're
These Are End
called.
Times. Like, yeah, I mean, These Are End Times are cool, but you'd sound so much better if you put me on vocals.
I raise that frequently at rehearsals that we have at least twice a year. But yeah, so that was.
I mean, they're entitled to say no, but they're wrong.
So that's early, very early 90s, and they're on that big massive label that signed Nickelback. What's it called? Roadrunner.
I did not know that. Wow.
But I just thought it might be worth you. I'm going to listen to some more of them. But that link, they were sort of, a lot of bands around then were using drum machines, and they weren't fancy drum machines. They were those little, like Boss Dr. Rhythms, like these tiny little things. But I just find it interesting. I don't know why that choice was made, whether it was because they like the sound or it's less gear to carry around or what. But there you go. That was Optimum Profile. And we're on to your last choice now.
Yeah, I actually picked 5. I think I got confused. Did you ask for 4 and I picked 5?
So the one I've missed then will be hers.
Yeah, right. We won't talk about Hers Collective because I got it wrong. But yeah, like maybe I'll bring them up on a few. I think I might have talked about them before on another episode.
You have, and I do want to go back to them because they fascinate me and I like them. But I just want to say, I'm just looking back at your message now, and when it was me sending you a message on the top secret messaging service, and I said, "Can I have your tracks?" And you said, "Yeah, sorry," and then you wrote, "Dentist had me on my arse," and I was like, right, I'm going to have to find that.
Did you think that was the band?
I was thinking, I hope I can find that on YouTube. Dentist had me on my arse.
Dentist had me on my, yeah. You can have that one for free if you're thinking about starting a band. But you got to be good. Like, if you're not playing fucking the most heaviest shit on earth with that name.
Yeah.
Like, if you have that band and you sound like Scouting for Girls, like, I'm going to hit you.
But instead of, so yeah, we're not going to have Hers Collective, which is a shame. We'll talk about them another time, but let's have your last choice. Fucking blows my mind that that's 1986, but who was that?
That was Big Black. And that was the band I didn't know didn't have a drummer.
Steve Albini's career as a whole, I have read more about him than I have listened to him, and I've read a lot. I did see him.
A lot of records he made, like F- Wake Up Screaming is one of like my favourite all-time punk records that he produced. Shellac were fucking awesome.
I saw Shellac a few times.
Big Black are an interesting one for me because they're not one that I've really listened to a lot, and every time I've heard them, I've been really into it. And I thought, you know what, like I'm going to put this on my list. Because I was like, well, I didn't know they didn't have a drummer, so that's the first really interesting point. And the second one is like, you know, I had a housemate when I lived in London called Mike, who, you know, like when I met him, he showed up to view the flat in a Mogwai hoodie, so I was okay. And he was like really, like he didn't know many records, but one of them was that Big Black record.
Wow.
And yeah, he fucking loved them. And like every time he put them on, like he'd be like, oh, you know, listen to this bit, listen, you know, like you know you are when you listen to music you love.
Oh, and I love listening. That I get that's the best way for me to get into any new band is to have somebody actually be that enthusiastic about it.
Quite useful. You run a music podcast, then, isn't it? But yeah, he like fucking loved them, and you know, it just suddenly made me go like, man, I really should have went back to that because I've put the record on, I've had it on in the background and work, I've had tracks come on shuffle, I've heard it. So many people have like played me it in their car, blah 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 blah, but I've never actually just sat down and indulged myself in it. So I thought it was a good choice for me to kind of pick and go, oh yeah.
Was Big Black his first band?
I'm not that versed in Albini to tell you, to be honest. Like every time I hear like, oh yeah, he did this as well, I was like, oh, I didn't know. Like again, maybe you're more versed on that because you've actually done the reading, but
doesn't mean I've remembered it. Yeah, that was cool. I'm going to go back and listen to Big Black because they sort of get missed, I think, and that was great. You didn't tell me which song to choose, so I didn't
really have one because I was just kind of like, I thought you might be more versed in it than me, to be honest.
I always thought before I actually listened to it and before I actually saw Shellac, I just assumed that anything Steve Albini had done would be
Shellac.
well, a bit more twee. I've got to say, I don't know
Yeah.
why I thought it'd be twee, and Big Black ain't twee.
Go listen to F minus Wake Up Screaming if you want to hear like Albini just produce a punk record that just makes you go fuck. Jesus Christ, what a record, man.
When I first became aware of Steve Albini, it was for a really odd reason. I knew that he'd produced In Utero when that came out.
That was my intro to him.
So I sort of knew I'd seen the name on the cassette, so I knew who it was. But then I was playing a lot of really shit gigs in London at the time. Those really stupid gigs where you have to take a coach load of people.
Oh yeah,
it was before. To be fair, it's before I'd really discovered the punk scene. So I did not know there was another option. Somehow I just didn't know. And we kept...
that's how those systems work, don't they? They're expensive.
Oh yeah, but so I bumped into. There was a couple of bands we bumped into at the time who Steve Albini had produced their demos when we used to have demos. Remember those days? And I can remember just saying, "How the hell? He's just worked for Nirvana. How have you had Steve Albini produce you?" And they just said, "We asked." He said yes. And reading up on him, he would produce anyone.
He did it, didn't he?
Yeah, right. And so for like very little money, I don't know how they managed it because they're a London band. Just go back to those pay to play gigs. The final straw for us, and it should have come a lot sooner than this, is we played for one promoter, and he played a shitty tiny little place, and if you brought enough people to that, they put you in a bigger place. And then the third rung was a venue in Soho, which in reality wasn't much bigger than my fucking office, but it was meant to be like, if you play there and we like you, we're going to put you on a showcase night. Another thing that just makes me want to vomit. Battle of Bands and showcases can just die.
Go fuck themselves.
It's the worst.
It's a dead format, man. Like back in the day when you were younger, or maybe even now for kids, like if you get an opportunity to make some money to get your first batch of merch printed, or get some free studio time. But in this day and age, is free studio time that valuable? Like when laptops do this stuff now. Like most people I know are like doing stuff at home.
There's probably one exception. That's Berry Sound, which does appear to have its heart in the right place. But outside of that, so we did this. We took a coach load of people and we played the gig in Soho. I lost my car for about 4 hours and couldn't remember where it was.
You got a bus, so.
Yeah, but I couldn't leave my car in an underground car park in London. And so we played the gig, we filled it all out, and we said, right, so about it was at Leicester Square, the big gig, and they went, sorry, you're just too shit. Which they were probably right, to be fair, but that wasn't what pissed me off, because I was fully aware that they couldn't give a fuck about the music. I knew that. I knew enough to understand that. And we got people into some of the gigs because Stuart, the singer of the band, this is Junk Culture, the singer of the band at the time, he's about 6'7", and he'd worked in Greece for a couple of years as being one of those people that stands outside nightclubs to get people in. So we played like the Bull and Gate, and he'd just like get loads of people to come into the gig who must have been horrified. But yeah, that was the death of it. I was like, I'm never going to do this again. Although that gig at the Bull and Gate, our support act we headlined, the support act was Maximo Park. Anyway, there's enough of Andrew's history. That's two things I've done now, mentioning these are end times and talking about myself when we should be talking about...
Fucking egomaniac, mate.
It's just off the leash. So here's my final choice. It's a bit of a long middle eight, isn't it? I honestly am fascinated to know whether you know who that is or not, because it might be just before your time.
It's 80s.
No.
This
is a band that was so big that they played the Smash Hits party, and it's two-piece. One of them rugby tackled Philip Schofield on live TV.
Good. Did he hurt him?
I believe so. There's footage of it on YouTube.
Good.
But this band were
Schofield, but good.
You'd go to indie nights, or sort of even just go to the pub or go to gigs. Any gig you went to, probably a third of the audience at least would be wearing T-shirts with this band name on. I mean, they were big.
Is it Bauhaus or something?
Bauhaus. No, I'd love it if it had been Bauhaus.
I don't know a lot about that. Like, I'm stabbing in the dark here. Tell me.
Fair enough. It's Carter and the Unstoppable Sex Machine. Carter USM.
Never heard of them. I never would have guessed that.
That is literally, you've never heard that band name.
No.
Oh
never.
Man, they were probably the first punk band, or certainly the first band from the punk DIY scene to sort of get big, but do it with honour.
So you would call that new wave, really, kind of.
That is, I think it was like number 3 on the charts. That song. It's called "Only Living Boy in New Cross." I'm going to find out what their highest charting thing, but they were.
What year was it?
That's what I'm now looking up. Only Living Boy in New Cross. But they were basically a couple of crusties, proper. Even on the video, when crusties were a real early 90s thing, Only Living Boy in New Cross came out 1992.
Okay.
And
later than I expected it to be.
That was number 7 in the charts, which at that time, that was a big deal. They were selling more than like Madonna that week,
I suppose like they were probably riding off the wave of like the Pet Shop Boys and Human League still kind of being kind of like, because that's why I was surprised, because it sounds like something that would have been bigger in the 80s. Like,
it was really, because you've not heard of them or heard them, that clip was probably not a very good example, because it's got that middle 8 that's got the bouncy synth, and to be honest, I just picked it at random. But they very much came out of the Scots kind of thing, the way they looked, what their songs were about, and they did. I'm not actually a massive fan. It's one of those bands that on paper I should like, but they don't connect with me more than they used to. But I'm not like a huge fan. But I've played 2 gigs. I've put on one of them. He's in a band called Asbu. I can't say it, but put them on at the Smokehouse. Lovely bloke. And Fruit Bat was what his name is. It's not his real name. And the other one, Jim Bob, since gone on to write books. But Fruit Bat, when they start to make money, he bought a massive house in London so that anyone who was a musician who couldn't afford their rent or didn't have somewhere to live could go and live in this house with him. So he used the money to keep it going, to keep this sort of really cool sort of DIY punk.
A squat house with his money.
He started a squat house, basically, but it was a completely legal one. And I played with him again at Coda in Colchester. But you might like them. Really strong songs. They're two blokes with, like when dreads were like shaved head and a few bits of dreads going down to your arse,
like
kind of
tied
thing.
Back like some weird undercut.
Very
shit.
Very much that. But yeah, they were bloody huge. But Drum Machine and Graham from John Culture mentioned John Culture. He works where my office is. I can remember. He absolutely loved them at the time, and he went to go and see him, and he was really disappointed afterwards. Like, why are you disappointed? He said, it's just 2 blokes with guitars and a load of fucking flashing lights. Because no one could tell that they didn't have a drummer.
There you go.
So I think
that's
that...
the conclusion of the episode, I guess. Bands with
there we
fake
are.
drummers. No one could tell they had a drummer.
I do think it's interesting because they I don't know what the hell. I'll ask them if I play with them again. But there you go, Carter USM as everyone calls them. Another thing is they're really, really nice. You get some bands who all the fans of the bands form a tribe and stay in a tribe, and Carter's very much like that. Daz, who is in my other band, Dystopian Sound Collective, was part of the Carter USM scene, and I got to meet quite a lot of people who are into it, and they're just a decent bunch of people. So there you go. There's a nice positive ending. You can go pass out now, Dan, or take more drugs, or whatever it is you feel you need to do.
Both. I mean, look at it, man. Like, it is bad.
It is epic. I mean,
if you cut my face in half on the social media videos, it would just look like I have this like really thick jawline though, and I can like catfish people.
Well, you do look quite kind of hench at the moment, but just on one side. Right, I'm going to say goodbye. Do you want to say goodbye?
Yeah, I do. Thank you for listening, everyone. Also, yeah, I'm just going to plug the Smokehouse gig again because we spoke about Linus-Fitness Centre, but on the 26th of September, I am going to be doing Noise Tendro 64, where I'm going to be doing Pokemon Live, where I'm going to be running a game of Pokemon Red through a shitload of feedback and effects pedals. Live, someone playing the game live, and Linus-Fitness Centre is playing, who we played earlier, as well as Anne Ruffin, who's our friend Ollie, who we spoke about earlier. White Noise Winter from Colchester is playing. And also Mind Affected Future Faction, which is my housemate Riffs' new project. This is his first Ipswich gig. So, and it's only £6.
Cool. Send us the flyer again and I'll put it in the show notes.
Hell yeah.
Cool.
Bye,
Cheers.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.